All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating about the English language. It's this weird little quirk that, believe it or not, all comes down to one single, super powerful letter. So, have you ever really stopped to think about this? You take a word like cat. That A sound is so sharp and clear, right? Cat. But then you stick an R next to it, and boom, you get car, a totally different vowel sound. And then, to make it even weirder, you have words like her and fur. And somehow, they sound exactly the same. So, what is going on here? Well, the answer to this whole puzzle isn't some crazy, complicated rule you have to memorize. Nope. It all comes down to one pretty bossy letter that just loves to be in charge. This letter is the star of our show today, the reason our vowels have to completely change their tune. And here it is, the letter R. In the world of phonics, it's actually got a nickname, the bossy R. And for good reason. It doesn't just sit next to vowels, it completely changes how they sound. It's kind of like a little ruler that just bends all the other letters to its will. The official name for this whole phenomenon is an R-controlled vowel, and it just means that the vowel stops making its usual sound, like the short A in apple or the long A in ape. Instead, the R takes over, and the vowel's sound gets totally reshaped and, controlled by it. Let's make this super clear. Just listen to the difference here. First, we have the I in bit, I. Now, listen to the in bird, See? Completely different. Same thing with a in cat, that's a, versus the R in car, which is R. That R just swoops in and takes over the sound entirely. A great way to think about it is like a gravity effect. It's like the R has this strong gravitational pull, and it just yanks the vowel sound toward it, morphing it into something completely new. It doesn't get rid of the vowel, it just, it reshapes it. Okay, so now that we know what the bossy R does, let's break down how it does it. We can actually organize all these R-controlled vowels into 5 main families, and each one has its own special R-dominated sound. So here they are, the 5 families. You've got R as in car, then there's OR as in corn, and then you've got as in her, ear as in bird, and as in fur. Pay really close attention to those last 3. Did you catch that? 3 of those families, and even though they're spelled differently, they make the exact same sound. This is where the bossy R gets really interesting, and a little bit tricky. We call these the tricky triplets. So whether you see an ER, an IR, or a UR, your mouth is going to make that same neutral sound, This is such a core pattern in English, and it trips a lot of people up. But once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. So how do you even make that sound? Honestly, the best way to remember it is to just think of that sound we all make when we're pausing to think about something. You know, that, what was I saying sound? That's it. That's the sound for her, bird, and fur. Simple, right? Okay, so the concept makes sense. But how do you really get it to stick in your brain? Well, there's a really cool, simple method for this called the gravity rule. It's a way to actually feel and see how the bossy R works, not just hear it. The gravity rule is great because it uses a bunch of your senses. First, you see the pull when the vowel and the R combine. Second, you hear the change when you say the words out loud. Bit turns into bird. Third, and this is the fun part, you actually use your hands to physically mimic pulling that vowel sound over to the R. And finally, you can lock it all in with a little chant. R, ear, or, R makes the sound stir. So why did we just spend all this time talking about one bossy little letter? Because this isn't just some random rule for a spelling bee. Getting a handle on the bossy R is actually fundamental to understanding the sound of the entire English language. When it comes down to it, the bossy R is basically a master key. It unlocks the pronunciation for thousands upon thousands of words. It reveals this core pattern in what can feel like the total chaos of English spelling. But more than that, it's just a perfect little example of how one small thing can change an entire system, making our language both super complex and, in its own way, beautifully consistent. So let's end with this thought. The R isn't some bully that comes in and just erases the vowel's sound. It's more like a partner that reshapes it. And that kind of shows us that in language, control doesn't have to mean squashing something out of existence. It can mean creating something brand new. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other bossy little elements are out there shaping the systems we use every single day?